Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars have agreed to a 5-year, $275 million contract.
Damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? Because if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you wait, then you're going to potentially pay even more, right?
Pay him an average of $55 million per year, tying Joe Burrow for most in NFL history.
A lot of people are saying that this contract is a huge overpay, but every single time I see a new quarterback get a contract extension, especially this early on, all I'm thinking is how brilliant that team is for doing so. We're going to get to everything here, man. Another quarterback just got a huge contract extension. We're here to grade the deal and discuss whether it was a good move or a bad move. Before we get to the content, we're giving away copies of College Football 25. All you have to do to enter is follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. We're going to be giving it away on those two platforms. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? A huge day of reckoning is coming for the quarterback market, and as a Dallas Cowboy fan, this causes a lot of concern to me. It seems like every single time a brand new wide receiver or a brand new quarterback gets a contract extension, I start to sweat a little bit. But any team that has a quarterback that is up for a contract extension should be sweating a little bit. You see, there's a right way and a wrong way to do these types of negotiations. The gold standard of trying to extend your quarterback is exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. If you guys remember, on July 6, 2020, Patrick Mahomes was signed to a 10-year contract extension worth $477 million and another $26 million in potential bonuses for a total of $503 million. At that time, it was the second largest contract in American professional sports history, and it quickly became one of the best contracts in sports. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't waste any time in extending Patrick Mahomes. Even before the opportunity to pick up his 5th-year option, he was extended in an unprecedented way. And as a result, Patrick Mahomes is never the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. As a matter of fact, at the time that we're recording this video, he is the 9th highest paid QB in the entire NFL. This allows the Kansas City Chiefs to pay players like Chris Jones and Travis Kelce and consistently improve Patrick Mahomes' offensive line, but also invest in his defense. Mahomes has been more than content to make money off of endorsements because he understands that a huge factor in determining his success is how much the quarterback gets paid. If you take a look at Tom Brady's career, he was also underpaid throughout the majority of his career. This allowed him to get additional help, made his job easier, and he was able to win Super Bowls as a result of that. And although I think it might be overkill for each and every quarterback to do it, I don't think it's a coincidence that two of the greatest QBs in NFL history have taken similar paths to success, and it's worked for both of these quarterbacks. With that being said, it's a little confusing when other teams don't try to follow the same mold. You don't necessarily need to go to your quarterback and underpay him immediately, kind of like the way the Falcons got Kirk Cousins from the very beginning. There are multiple ways to make sure your quarterback doesn't get paid an exorbitant amount of money, one of which is obviously hitting on a QB in the first round of the NFL draft, but that isn't guaranteed. And following hitting on your quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft, it's up to you to determine how to make sure you make the most of this man's career. Take a look at the Arizona Cardinals, for instance. Following the 2021 season where Kyler Murray was able to lead the Cardinals to the NFL playoffs, but also got absolutely exposed on national TV against the eventual NFL champion LA Rams, where Kyler Murray threw for 137 yards, threw for 2 interceptions, one of them just being outright embarrassing, and 0 touchdowns. Also coming under fire for leadership, Kyler Murray's agent would also put out a statement, which was like a 5-paragraph essay in very tiny font, by the way, essentially telling the Cardinals that they need to pay his client ASAP because his client was able to turn around the Cardinals. 5 months later, the Cardinals gave Kyler Murray his wish. They paid him immediately, paying him $46.1 million a year annually. And they were very smart to do this because the very next year, which was last year, the quarterback market inflated once again. In this case, you had multiple new contenders, all in much different situations for their careers. I mean, you had Jalen Hurts, who was coming off of an incredible season with the Philadelphia Eagles, leading them all the way to an NFC Championship victory and eventually losing in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts at that point has played in 3 seasons for the Philadelphia Eagles, but he wasn't selected in the first round of the NFL draft, which means the very next year his contract was set to expire. So the Philadelphia Eagles wasted no time. They understood that they were on the clock against Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow to extend Jalen Hurts as soon as possible. And the faster they do it, the more money they could save on the back end. So what did they end up doing? Well, they beat out all of them. On April 17, 2023, Jalen Hurts signed a 5-year contract extension for $255 million. You know who did the exact opposite of that? The Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was drafted in the first round of the 2018 NFL draft. The Ravens waited till the absolute last second to sign this man to a contract extension. At a specific point, they were even entertaining trading him, which I understood because they weren't able to win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson on a rookie scale contract. What makes you think you could win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson being paid a significant sum of money? I understand the philosophy. So they decided to kick the can down the road as much as they could, eventually placing a non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson would demand a trade on March 2nd, and it wasn't until they saw how much money Jalen Hurts got paid that the Ravens relented and decided to pay Lamar Jackson $52 million a year annually, a 5-year contract worth $260 million and $185 million guaranteed. The Chargers and Justin Herbert weren't really in that complicated of a situation. It was very much a scenario where they saw how much Lamar Jackson was being paid and said, hey, this is how much great MVP quarterbacks are being paid, so we're going to pay you just $500,000 a year annually more. Before Joe Burrow completely broke the bank and became the highest paid player in NFL history on a $55 million a year valuation. Following that, there were question marks about what was going to happen for this next group of quarterbacks. Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, and Trevor Lawrence. Probably the most intriguing individual out of that entire list is none other than Trevor Lawrence. You see, Trevor Lawrence was the #1 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft. He pretty much garnered the same amount of hype as Caleb Williams, but not nearly as much drama. But his career was a roller coaster. I mean, in year 1 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, he had Urban Meyer as his head coach. In year 2 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, he threw for over 4,000 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. But this past year, he took a step back, even though he was dealing with some lingering injuries. He still threw for over 4,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. But there's been memes comparing Trevor Lawrence's career to Gardner Minshew, which is the individual that they moved on from in order to get Trevor Lawrence. It's something that people love to do, and I can't really blame them for doing this. I mean, take a look at Trevor Lawrence's first 3 seasons as a starter versus Gardner Minshew's first 2 seasons as a starter. It's kind of crazy how Gardner Minshew kind of has an upper hand on Trevor Lawrence throughout all of this, but again, you have to understand Lawrence's circumstances. 1 year of Urban Meyer would do this to you. So this puts the Jaguars in a peculiar position. At this point in time, is Trevor Lawrence one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? I don't necessarily know. He's definitely shown us potential, but there's a lot of strange circumstances with Trevor Lawrence. And this is nothing against the Jaguars at all whatsoever, or the wide receivers they've had, but they never really got Trevor Lawrence, that superstar wide receiver that you could expect a high potential QB to get. I mean, Kyler Murray had DeAndre Hopkins, Dak Prescott had Amari Cooper, Jalen Hurts got AJ Brown, Justin Herbert got Quentin Johnston? No, I'm kidding. Justin Herbert always had really good wide receivers, but CJ Stroud got Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen also got Stephon Diggs. You get my point. But Trevor Lawrence got Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Calvin Ridley. I mean, not bad receivers at all, but definitely not the same as prime DeAndre Hopkins or AJ Brown. So there's a lot of strange circumstances around the construction of the Jaguars. From the very beginning, I've been very skeptical of Trent Baalke and his track record drafting for teams, especially when he was with the San Francisco 49ers. This man has a laundry list of draft busts, like AJ Jenkins, for instance. And that's just the perception of Trevor Lawrence so far. Could he be a superstar quarterback in the future? For sure, but just like I said with Lamar Jackson, if you're not able to compete with a quarterback when he's on a rookie scale contract, what are the chances that he'll be able to win you a Super Bowl when he's getting paid $50 million plus a year? Well, regardless, it seems like the Jaguars are willing to take that chance, and it's quite brilliant if you think about it. So, according to Ian Rappaport, the Jacksonville Jaguars have reached a deal with their star QB Trevor Lawrence. Sources say that they are giving the #1 pick a 5-year extension worth $275 million, $55 million a year, with $200 million guaranteed and $142 million fully. So let's break this down, because from the very beginning, I could understand if fans are looking at Trevor Lawrence's brand new contract and thinking,
Mike, sweet mother of overpay, Mike.
Trevor Lawrence is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, tied with Joe Burrow. But you have to also understand that this contract doesn't kick in for another 2 years. Pretty much the Jags are going up to Trevor Lawrence and saying, hey, look, we're willing to pay you as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now, despite your up and down seasons, despite how you haven't necessarily fully proven yourself as one of the top QBs in the NFL. The kicker is you have to sign this contract now, and we are not willing to pay you as the top quarterback in the NFL in 2 years from now, which, by the way, could be over $60 million a year annually. It's pretty interesting because the Jaguars have done stuff that indicate they believe in Trevor Lawrence moving forward, like this huge contract extension, but at the same time, you're bringing in Mac Jones to compete with him or back him up. I'm not saying that they don't believe in Trevor Lawrence, it's just very interesting to go about it in such a way. I personally think it's brilliant to do this because I also believe it's more likely than not that Trevor Lawrence has an incredible season this year, and you want to pay him this amount of money before the Cowboys overpay Dak Prescott, before Tua gets a contract like this, before Brock Purdy gets paid. At the end of the day, quarterback contracts are a huge race, and it just makes the Lions look even smarter for paying Jared Goff when they did. It's quite brilliant, especially if you believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good season this year, which I think he will. And when it's all said and done, as a result of his good season, in 1 or 2 years' time, you could be looking at a contract that makes Trevor Lawrence the 4th or 5th highest paid QB in the NFL. At the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence's 5th year option hasn't kicked in yet. He's going into year 4 of his career. This is incredibly early to be paying him, which is why I think this is such a brilliant deal. Right now, you might be thinking, wow, he's being paid as much as Joe Burrow, but in 2 years from now, when that 5-year contract extension kicks in and he's getting paid $10 million a year annually, less than the highest paid QB in the NFL, which should be Brock Purdy, then you're gonna think Trent Baalke's a genius. Unless if Trevor Lawrence turns out to have some sort of freak injury or really regresses, but I don't think that's going to happen. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this deal? If you're a Jaguars fan, how do you feel about your offseason? Because you also extended Josh Allen and now you extended Trevor Lawrence. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, because if there's a team that has made a horrific mistake and officially announced that their player is a draft bust, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars division rival. The Tennessee Titans have officially given up on the wide receiver they drafted when they traded AJ Brown. It's absolutely insane to hear DeAndre Hopkins and the head coach talk this type of trash about him. I'll leave a link to that in the end screen, and I'll see you guys there.